California sun gleamed off the chrome accents of the matte black, classic-style motorcycle navigating the winding coastal roads. The rider, Keanu Reeves, had been on the road for hours, enjoying the wind, the engine's growl, and a temporary escape from the noise of the city and the artifice of film sets. As the afternoon sun climbed higher, he approached the heart of Los Angeles, feeling the pangs of hunger and a desire for quiet contemplation. Perhaps a good cup of coffee, perhaps just a corner where he could sit unnoticed and watch the world go by. Turning onto one of the city's most bustling and luxurious avenues, a particular cafe caught his eye, drawing him in like a magnet. Café Lumière. Even from the outside, it screamed wealth and exclusivity. Its large plate glass windows showcased the sophisticated interior decor, its name inscribed in gold lettering above the entrance. Keanu usually steered clear of such places, but something felt different that day. Perhaps ironically, amidst this blatant display of wealth, he could find the anonymity he craved. Or maybe he simply needed a quality cup of coffee to shake off the road fatigue. He parked his motorcycle a few blocks away on a more modest side street, locking his helmet and heavy leather jacket to the bike. What remained was his travel attire, a slightly wrinkled black t-shirt, well-worn but clean jeans, and sturdy, dusty riding boots. He slung a small, old messenger bag across his shoulder, pulled a gray baseball cap low over his brow, put on his dark sunglasses, and blended into the sidewalk crowd heading towards the cafe. Stepping through the heavy glass door of Café Lumière felt like entering another world, entirely separate from the warm, noisy city air outside. The interior was cool, hushed, and immaculate. The sound of his boots echoed slightly on the polished marble floors. The air was thick with a blend of expensive perfume, mingling with the intoxicating aroma of roasted coffee beans and the sweet scent of almond croissants and colorful macarons fresh from the patisserie. Soft piano melodies like Eric Satie's Gymnopédies drifted from hidden speakers, accompanying the gentle clinking of porcelain cups and silver spoons, and the low murmur of important conversations among the wealthy clientele. Keanu's eyes scanned the room. Minimalist sculptures, large abstract paintings on the walls, chairs and tables that were clearly designer pieces. At the entrance stood the maître d'Isabelle, a woman with platinum blonde hair pulled back in a flawless bun, wearing an impeccably tailored, expensive-looking uniform. She glanced up as Keanu entered. Her eyes swept over him, taking in his dusty boots, casual t-shirt, old bag. Isabel's professional smile instantly became rigid, more practiced than warm. "Welcome to Café Lumière," she said, her voice melodic but icy. "How may I assist you?" The words were polite, but the tone implied, "What are you doing here?" "Hello," Keanu replied, his voice calm and low as usual. "I was just looking for a quiet place to sit and have a coffee." Isabel's eyes scanned the room. Several comfortable velvet armchairs near the window were empty, but she acted as if she didn't see them. "I'm afraid we're quite busy at the moment, and all our window tables are reserved," she stated flatly, without even consulting a reservation book. "However, if you'd like, there might be a spot available at the bar." The bar she indicated was crowded, with high, uncomfortable stools, hardly the quiet corner Keanu was seeking. Keanu noticed the empty tables but chose not to argue. He was no stranger to this kind of reception. "All right, the bar is fine," he said. Isabel gave him a curt nod toward the bar and immediately turned her attention to a group of women dripping in designer labels who had just entered, greeting them with an effusive, "Welcome, ladies. Your favorite corner booth is ready for you." As Keanu walked towards the bar, he felt the subtle but sharp layers of class distinction in the atmosphere even more acutely. Behind the gleaming marble counter, the barista, Leo, moved with the confident air of someone performing on stage. His expensive watch glittered under the spotlights, tattoos visible on his muscular forearms. He clearly saw himself as part of this elite performance. Keanu leaned against the bar and waited. Leo caught his eye briefly but ignored him, choosing instead to attend to one of the women from the group Isabel had greeted so warmly. He called her by name, joked with her, and prepared her coffee with elaborate care. Next, he turned to Mr. Harrison, a man in an expensive business suit, exchanged a few words about the stock market, and offered him a rare, exclusive blend of coffee. Meanwhile, a young tourist couple with backpacks, looking tired, approached the bar next to Keanu and asked Leo for the menu. Leo almost tossed the menu onto the counter in front of them and then pretended to be busy with something else. The couple looked at the prices, whispered to each other, and hesitantly ordered 2 cappuccinos. Leo barely looked at them while taking the order. A few moments later, an elderly lady who looked like a retired teacher approached the bar and asked for a cup of tea and a slice of cake. Leo served her with the same indifferent air, almost avoiding touching her hand as he took her money. Keanu watched all of this silently. It wasn't just the behavior of a few isolated employees. This place operated under an invisible, yet palpable code where money and status dictated the level of respect and service one received. The thought settled like a lead weight in his stomach. He thought about his own fame, his own wealth. How differently would these people treat him if they knew who he was? The hypocrisy bothered him deeply. When it was finally Keanu's turn, Leo turned to him, one eyebrow raised. "Yeah? What do you want?" His tone was bored and dismissive, as if Keanu were an interruption. "One Americano, please," Keanu said, keeping his voice steady. Leo grunted and turned to the machine. As it whirred, Keanu saw him exchange a subtle, knowing glance with another barista down the counter, accompanied by a slight smirk in Keanu's direction. Leo prepared the coffee carelessly, letting it slosh over the side as he slammed the cup down on the counter. $18.75, he announced loudly, staring directly into Keanu's eyes, as if challenging him to question the price or his ability to pay. Keanu hadn't seen him state the price so bluntly to the other, wealthier customers. Keanu, his expression unreadable behind the sunglasses, pulled out his wallet and laid a $20 bill on the counter. Leo snatched the bill, went to the register, and then tossed the change, a dollar bill and some coins, onto the counter, far from Keanu's reach. "Enjoy," he said with a sarcastic smirk. Keanu gathered the change, picked up his cup, and wiped the spilled coffee with a napkin. He noticed that the small table near the wall, the one the elderly lady had inquired about earlier, was now empty. He started to head towards it. "Hey!" Leo called out behind him. "That table's reserved." Keanu stopped and turned calmly. "5 minutes ago, you told me you were busy and only had space at the bar?" "Changed my mind," Leo said insolently. "Besides, that area is for our preferred customers." "Preferred customers?" Keanu asked quietly. "Preferred based on what?" Just then, the plainly dressed man Keanu had seen Leo dismiss earlier came back to the bar. "Excuse me," he asked Leo politely. "I waited until you weren't busy. Could I just trouble you for a glass of water, please?" Leo rolled his eyes dramatically. "You again?" "I told you, we have bottled water. $10. The man looked taken aback. "No, thank you. Just a glass of tap water?" "We don't serve tap water," Leo lied flatly, even though Keanu could clearly see carafes of water being served at the tables with the preferred guests. This was the last straw for Keanu. He calmly put his coffee cup down on the counter, walked over to the water station behind the bar where the carafes were kept, poured a glass of water himself and handed it to the man. "Here you go," he said softly. The man accepted the glass, stunned. Thank you," he stammered. Leo turned crimson with rage seeing Keanu's action. "What the hell do you think you're doing? You can't just go behind my bar." "I'm just helping someone who's thirsty," Keanu replied calmly, "and doing the job you apparently refuse to do." "Who do you think you are, telling me what to do?" Leo shouted, leaning over the counter menacingly. "Are you trying to impress these rich folks by playing hero? Get out of here before I call security." Leo's raised voice and the palpable tension drew the attention of Maître d'Isabelle, and moments later, the café manager, Ms. Vivienne Dubois, who strode over swiftly. Ms. Dubois projected an air of cool authority, her sharp suit immaculate, her expression severe. "What is going on here, Leo?" "Why are you shouting?" Leo immediately pointed a finger at Keanu. "This man, Ms. Dubois, he's causing trouble again, interfering with staff, serving customers without permission, disturbing the peace." Isabel chimed in, supporting Leo. "Yes, madam, he was trying to occupy a reserved table earlier as well." Ms. Dubois fixed her cold gaze on Keanu. She assessed him again. The worn boots, the plain t-shirt, the cap shadowing his face. Her expression hardened with disapproval. "Sir," she said, her voice controlled but sharp as ice, "I believe I asked you to leave earlier. You insist on causing a disturbance. This is a respectable establishment with certain standards. We cannot tolerate inappropriate behavior that disrupts the ambiance for our clientele. I must insist that you leave the premises immediately, or I will be forced to call security." Keanu felt a cold anger rise within him, but kept his voice even. "Inappropriate behavior?" he asked. "Is offering a thirsty person water inappropriate? Or is it the standard here to treat people differently based on their clothes?" Miss Dubois gave a short, sharp laugh. "Look, sir, this cafe caters to a specific profile. Our guests expect a certain level of quality and atmosphere. We simply cannot allow individuals like you to spoil that." "Individuals like me?" Keanu repeated, letting the words hang in the air. "And what kind of individuals are those?" "Simple," Ms. Dubois replied with chilling arrogance. "Those who clearly don't belong here." That was it. The moment had arrived. Keanu knew there was no point in prolonging the charade. Very slowly, deliberately, he first removed his sunglasses, then his baseball cap. Under the bright, unforgiving lights of the cafe, one of the most recognizable faces in the world was revealed in its entirety. A collective gasp seemed to ripple through the cafe. Time froze. Miss Dubois' mouth fell open. The color drained from her face, leaving it a mask of shock, disbelief, and dawning horror. "Oh my God, you're..." She stammered, unable to complete the sentence. Leo looked as if he'd seen a ghost. He stumbled back against the counter, his jaw slack, eyes wide with terror. The man he'd insulted, lied to, and tried to throw out was Keanu Reeves. Maitre d'Isabelle let out a small, choked cry and covered her mouth with her hand. Just then, as if on cue, the cafe door opened again, and a charismatic, middle-aged man with a chef's apron tied loosely over his stylish clothes called out cheerfully, "Keanu, there you are. We were waiting for you in the kitchen. Thought you might have gotten lost." It was Antoine Dubois, the owner of Café Lumière and a world-renowned chef, and, as it happened, a close friend of Keanu's. He had arranged to meet Keanu there. Antoine immediately sensed the thick tension surrounding his friend. "Is everything all right?" he asked, his smile fading, as he looked at the terrified expressions on Ms. Dubois and Leo's faces. "Vivian? Leo, what's going on here?" Ms. Dubois rushed forward, desperately trying to regain composure. Her voice trembled. "Welcome, Monsieur Dubois." "No problem at all, sir. Just a very small misunderstanding." Leo couldn't even speak. He just stood rooted to the spot, pale and shaking. Keanu turned to his friend. "Hello, Antoine," he said calmly. "Let's just say I had the opportunity to make a few observations while I was waiting." His gaze shifted back pointedly to Ms. Dubois. Antoine understood immediately from his friend's tone and the manager's panicked state that something serious had occurred. "What observations, Keanu?" he asked directly. Keanu took a deep breath and began to recount, methodically and clearly, everything he had witnessed and experienced since stepping into the cafe. He described the differential treatment of guests, Leo's rudeness, Isabel's coldness, the lie about the reserved table, the denial of a simple glass of water to another man, and finally Ms. Dubois' attempt to eject him for not meeting the cafe's standards and being someone who didn't belong. He didn't raise his voice. He simply stated the facts, letting them speak for themselves. As he spoke, Miss Dubois grew paler if possible, and Leo looked ready to faint. Antoine's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief, then to cold fury. This disrespect towards his friend, happening in his own establishment, under his name, was intolerable. When Keanu finished, a heavy silence hung in the cafe. The other patrons watched, transfixed. Some were still discreetly recording on their phones. Antoine turned first to his trembling manager. "Vivienne." His voice was dangerously quiet now. "Is what I just heard true?" Vivienne stammered. "Sir, a mistake. I apologize profusely." "A mistake?" Antoine's voice rose. "This isn't a mistake, Vivienne. This is a disgrace. How dare you treat any guest, let alone my friend, this way in my cafe?" He glared at Leo. "And you? Who do you think you are? The king of this counter?" Leo shook his head mutely, eyes downcast. Keanu intervened gently. Antoine, he said, the issue isn't a personal apology to me. The issue is the mindset that needs to change. They need to understand that everyone who walks through that door deserves respect, regardless of who they are or what they wear. He turned back to Ms. Dubois. You need to understand that your standards should never be more important than basic human decency. He looked at Leo. And you need to learn that a smile and a glass of water can sometimes be worth more than the most expensive coffee. Antoine nodded grimly in agreement. Keanu is right, he declared, addressing the staff members who had gathered nearby. The reputation of this cafe comes not from its decor or its prices, but from the respect we show our guests. What happened here today is unacceptable, and there will be serious consequences. He fixed Vivian and Leo with a hard stare. Both of you, to my office. Now. As Antoine led Keanu and their director friend towards a private area, Vivian and Leo followed numbly behind. Whispers filled the cafe among the remaining patrons. The incident at Café Lumière quickly became the talk of the town, fueled by social media posts and eyewitness accounts from those who had been present. The consequences were swift and decisive. Antoine Dubois, furious about the disrespect shown to his friend and the underlying toxic culture it revealed, took immediate action. Ms. Vivienne Dubois received a severe formal warning and was placed under strict supervision, her managerial duties curtailed, pending the successful completion of intensive customer relations and sensitivity training. Barista Leo was terminated immediately, not just for his treatment of Keanu, but for the pattern of discriminatory behavior witnessed towards other customers. Maitre d'Isabelle also received a formal warning. Antoine called an emergency all-staff meeting. He recounted the incident, without necessarily naming Keanu explicitly to all staff, but making the situation clear, and laid down his expectations in no uncertain terms. He emphasized the new policy of zero tolerance for prejudice and demanded equal respect and service for every single person who entered the cafe. New, stricter service protocols were implemented, and regular training sessions on unconscious bias and respectful customer interaction were scheduled. The incident dealt a significant blow to Café Lumière's carefully curated image. Online reviews mentioned the controversy. However, Antoine was determined to turn the crisis into an opportunity for genuine change. He issued a public statement acknowledging the incident, offering a sincere apology, and outlining the steps being taken to ensure such behavior would never happen again. Weeks later, Keanu Reeves found himself on that same luxurious avenue for another commitment. As he walked past Café Lumière, he glanced inside out of curiosity. The place was still busy, the decor just as opulent. But something felt different. The staff seemed more attentive, more alert, perhaps a little less haughty. He saw the new maître d' greet a casually dressed couple with a genuine, warm smile. Behind the bar, a different barista was working efficiently and politely. He didn't go in. He just paused for a moment on the sidewalk, observing. Perhaps the lesson had been learned. Perhaps the coldness behind the gleaming marble was slowly giving way to a genuine warmth. A faint smile touched his lips. He adjusted his cap and walked on. He had only wanted a cup of coffee that day, but inadvertently he had touched the heart of a luxury cafe and started a quiet rebellion of kindness. And perhaps true luxury wasn't found on marble counters after all, but in a glass of water offered freely or a smile given without calculation. The most unexpected guests sometimes teach the most important lessons.